Once my fortune teller told me that I have 5 horses. That means that I travel a lot, so I'm basically destined to leave home and live somewhere else. I think I wanted to leave home because of my father. He's a successful painter. Somehow I felt that his fame overshadowed me, and I wanted to do my own thing.
You know, New York is crazy,
Really, really noisy.
and I couldn't sleep that well.
And I was thinking when was my last time to had a really good sleep. And that was back in Korea.
So I thought like, how I'm gonna bring that space. And physically, it's impossible. So I came up with this idea of transportable fabric. I want to carry my house, my home with me all the time, like a snail.
My house project, Seoul Home, LA Home, is the replica of the interior of my parents' house.
I grew up in the house. It's a very traditional Korean house.
My father built the exact replica of this famous traditional building. I just didn't want to sit down and cry for home. I just wanted to more actively deal with the issues of longing.
이런 거는 괜찮거든.
My mom helped me to find national treasures, basically people who keeps traditional techniques, craftsmanships, and things like that. Those ladies taught me how to sew certain seams.
There's an expression in Korea, you walk the house. People actually disassembled the house and then rebuilt in a different location.
So I had to make something that you can put in a suitcase and bring it with me all the time.
I was able to discover so many things when I was measuring, and that was really personal and kind of emotional experience.
You just often find like a little marks that you did when you were a kid, and that brings all the memories of your childhood. And when you go through that process, the space becomes really part of you. I really like this idea of my art becomes a part of the architecture. It started from my interest in the notion of space, particularly this notion of personal space or individual space. Seoul is a very crowded city, and on the street, people bump into each other. And somebody could just, hit your shoulder, and that's normal. But I realized that's different here. So my perception of this personal space has, I think, changed. It was just for me very natural to think about the interpersonal space, the space between people. And so that's how this idea of individual and the collective came in. I intentionally chose that pose. If you look at the figure's facial expressions, they don't look oppressed. So it has like kind of positive gesture, but what they're doing is actually just bearing weight. And I don't really make any statement on that. It's just really up to the viewer. I was asked to do some public sculpture in this public place. And I started to think about what it means, public space, and what's the meaning of the public art or monument. I tried to rethink this whole notion of monument.
When you put the statue up on me, make sure that it is polished very well. I want it to be very shiny.
Usually, it's bigger than life size, individual, illustrious figures. But what I did was I took it down and make it smaller and make it into multiples. I just want to recognize anonymous everyday life, people who pass that space. For me, it was more important actually coming from Korea to the United States, and that kind of displacement, the cultural displacement, allowed me to compare to different cultures. So I was able to actually look back and think about these issues of individual and the collective. I scanned the portrait of 60 students from my high school yearbook into the computer, and I put my face first and the rest superimposed on the top of each other. So it created this average of one class. In a way, it's self-portrait. And I collect yearbooks from 1917 to 93 or something like that, and I see same face from different yearbooks. So maybe we are not that unique. I was curious what we share and what we don't, and how this sort of individuals converge. The whole Korean society is actually based on this kind of militaristic, very hierarchical structure. When you finish your elementary school, you enter middle school in Korea. That's probably age of 13, and then you shave your hair. And then have uniform and the cap. And I think it came as some kind of trauma for most of the kids. And also you were called by numbers. Number 37 or something like that. My number was 46.
Okay. Ready?
Koreans, they all have this kind of nostalgia, this kind of personal attachment to the uniform. I mean, it's a funny thing about the uniform because we hated to wear that uniform. It was very strict, and if you don't follow that uniform, you're punished. But we tried our best to differentiate our uniform from one another. From the moment that you're born, you know that you're going to be in the military because everybody has to go. So that's a great deal of the Korean man's identity. I was in the army for almost 2 years. That was quite an important part of my whole life, and I think it just comes out in my work. I found this army supply store, and the owner happened to be this old Korean guy, and he gave a lot of free doc text and allowed me to use this special typewriter to type doc text, letters and numbers. Every man talks about their own experience in the military, when you have a drink, and they're unbelievable stories.
우리 왁스 있나?
I was really good at many things. I was a sharpshooter, and I had a black belt before the military, and I could run really fast, and that was, very helpful. But the program was basically push your psychological and the physical to extreme. So actually, you can kill someone. I really sort of experienced what it means to be dehumanized. So for me, like, everything was something to think about. In my work, I can let other people see things differently. I think this desperate sense of displacement gives me a space to have some kind of critical distance to everything.
To learn more about Art21, Art in the 21st Century, and to download the free Educator's Guide, please visit PBS online at pbs.org. Art21, Art in the 21st Century is available on videocassette or DVD. The companion book to the series is also available. To order, call PBS Home Video at 1-800-PLAY-PBS.